Welcome to the Morgan Branding Podcast. Welcome to episode 17. In this episode, we wanted to talk about conferences. We're going to cover conferences and general events, really, under this subject heading. So I personally, Callum, attend quite a few different events, whether that be other companies putting on events for ideas or kind of industry events. Now, the greatest thing that I get out of these events is potentially looking at the speakers and trying to network with the speakers along with the other people at the event. So I see it as a big networking event. You go and learn where the industries are going. So this could be, we've been to food events, we've been to general business events, we go to marketing events. We cover lots of different sectors because I believe you can learn. But if you were very one sector specific, you can focus on conferences from that sector. But it is worth kind of casting your net a little bit wider to see what else is going on in the wider world, because you might come up with ideas. There may be other sectors that are kind of further advanced than your sector in certain areas. So you may pick up ideas, translate them to your business sector, and implement them and be ahead of the field. So what we found with the new business starting up is it's been fantastic to get to these events and network. So when you go to an event and there's a speaker on stage, afterwards go in, reaching out to them, talking about their talk that they put on, asking questions within the talk, and then linking to them on LinkedIn, say afterwards, or one of these other platforms, is a fantastic way than just a blind, link to them on LinkedIn. There may be somebody speaking at an event that you've been trying to get to do business with. So attending this conference could be the opportunity to learn lots of new things first off, but get to that personal network with that person that you've wanted to network with, because they'll be at the event as well to network and spread their message. So I'm a huge fan of conferences. You've got to weigh up, there's different types of conferences you can go to. Ones where you're going to learn something, ones where they're industry updates, and some of them cost a lot of money, some of them are free, some of them are in that middle ground, but you've got to factor in travel time as well. So I think you've got to go in with a very specific plan of why you're attending that event and what you want to get out to it, and stick to it. If you're very introverted and not going to speak to people, you need to go to an event where you're going to learn a lot from the event, because you might not use it as an opportunity to speak to people. If you're somebody that's very extroverted, you need to get in there and network well. I would also consider, if you're going to one of these one-day events or two-day events, is whether you stay over at the hotel as well. Now, the hotel that it's generally at might be, say, 120 quid for the night, but you will find that a lot of business may go on after hours in the bar after the event, and you can get to know people a lot better than maybe in a cramped networking environment. You may find yourself 4 or 5 people that are at the event chatting in the bar, and that's the time when you may do your most business. In some of these one-day events that I've been to, sometimes I've gone to the event the night before. So I can get up that day and be prepared and be there nice and early. You might go to the spa if it's got a spa or something like that and be chilled out. But B, because some people will be in the hotel the night before. And if you can kind of clock the type of people that may be at the event and reach out to them that night before, you may then suddenly find a lot wider audience when you get to the event, instead of kind of knowing no one or knowing 2 or 3 people when you're at the event. So my advice will be to get to as many events as possible. You don't have to be in big cities, you don't have to be going to conferences in London if you're from the Northwest. There's bags going on in the Northwest already. Keep local, keep the costs down, or keep the cost relative to what you want to achieve at the event, and get yourself out there, get yourself known, because it may be that you want to speak at some of these events. We, have been approached and spoken at some already, but want to kind of work our way up the speaking world. So you've got to learn how other people do it, learn who the right people are, learn who the people booking the speakers are, and try and do better than the ones that are on stage already. So we would advise, get some conferences, get yourself out there in the community, and get networking. Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Morgan Branding Podcast. If you'd like to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, our handles are at Morgan_branding, or you can follow myself, Callum Morgan, on the same platforms. Cheers.